So I've made a slab and I'm smoothing it out first. And then I've got these two templates, okay? So once you cut this out of here, then you're gonna curve this up, slip and score the side like this, and then all you need is a circle slab to go on the bottom. And you slip and score that, put a coil in the crack, smooth out this part on the inside and outside, give it a day to dry, smooth it out again, or you can then sgraffito it or whatever. You could even stamp it now before you cut it out. If you wanted to stamp this slab, then cut it out, that would be a great idea. I'm trying to see if this fits. That does not fit. All right, so if it doesn't fit, I'll show you things. So this is a circle measured out, and this is a circle measured out, right? So if I run out of space over here, what I need to do is just make sure that I keep that same angle that I had over here, like this angle. Does that make sense? You don't want to just randomly cut however. You want to keep this, so I'm just going to slide this donut. It's just going to make the bowl slightly smaller. And then cut right there. All right. So all the little scraps, I'm just going to ball up, set them aside till later. But if I have enough scrap on the end, down here, should I ball that up? What could I use that for? The bottom, the base. Okay, so I'm just gonna set that aside for a minute. Here's the tricky part. This is so easy, especially after you guys have done the cubes. There's a lot more slipping and scoring to the cubes. And remember, we used this side of the angle cutter on the cubes. We're gonna use this side here. And technically, this is a cone. This is like a cone with the pointy end cut off. That's all this bowl is. So I'm going to use the long side this time. And I cut an angle here. Now, this is what's weird. I'm going to pick this up and flip it over and cut it again. So I'm cutting it on the back side. The other time I cut it on the other side. So when I pull this up and start to do this, then they overlap. I know everyone loves pinch pots, right? I love pinch pots. I don't know why you guys don't. But what you can do is you can make a pinch pot, a large one, size large. And then I have all these bowl formers up at the front. They each have a different letter or number on the bottom. That way if you need to find the same one the next day, you can. So this one's in. So basically if I make a pinch pot, I can now take this bowl former or mold and I can find the best one that fits the pinch pot shape I made. So that fits pretty good. So then now I can basically push this pinch pot into this mold and it'll make almost a perfect bowl. So basically I'm just having this counter pressure of the bowl to pinch up against the rest of the way. Then you can do rough rib, smooth rib, and make a pretty good looking bowl using the pinch pot method. You probably never even tell it was pinched afterwards. Okay, if it comes up over the edge here, take your needle tool, cut it off. This one had a little notch in it. These are just bisqued bowls over here that have a problem. So like this one has a notch out. Some of them have cracks. So basically they weren't good enough to glaze for soup, so people just donated them to be made for other bowls, so other bowls could be made. So they're just bowl molds made of clay. But there's all different shapes and sizes over there. So the third technique is called slump mold. You want to have a slab and also a bowl mold or a bisqued bowl. You want to cut out a circle that's slightly larger than the rim of the bowl. You can do this by first tracing the bowl and then kind of just eyeball about a ½ inch or maybe an inch larger all the way around the rim of the bowl. After you've traced out the slightly larger circle, you can go ahead and cut it and then smooth out your slab with a rubber rib, preferably, on both sides, the front and the back of the slab. After that, you're going to actually place the slab over the open bowl. It seems like a pretty simple process to kind of push the slab down into the bowl, but it takes a little patience. Otherwise, you're going to push straight through that slab and create a hole. One of the great things about clay is its elasticity. When it is plastic, it will bend and stretch a little bit. It will make your bowl a little thinner in the bottom because that's the part that's being stretched the most as you press down to make this slab fit perfectly into that bowl. It's going to fold a little on the edges and kind of overlap and get wavy, but don't worry because that part's going to be cut off. This slab set out a little bit longer than I wanted it to, so it got a little firmer. So it's a good idea as you're pushing down, you can take a wet sponge if your slab is a little firmer than you'd like it to be. You can use a rib to press down on the inside of the bowl. And a lot of this video, I'm just using my hand to press down. This is the part where I'm adding a little water just because my slab was a little bit dry. You want to make sure that you're pressing both downward on the inside, but also pushing with my outside hand, pushing that rim so that it kind of starts to fold a little and go down into the bowl. Once the entire slab has been pushed down into the bowl mold and you can feel that it's touching the bottom as well as the walls, you can start to blend the rim wherever the bowl kind of folded around the edges. Blend that for a while until it starts to look really nice, and then you can go ahead and cut off the excess with a needle tool. After you cut the excess clay off of the rim of the bowl, you want to make sure that that rim doesn't have any sharp edges. You can do this with your finger, a sponge, a rib, just smoothing those freshly cut edges of the clay so that they're not so sharp once they're fired. As you're smoothing the bowl, you don't want to press too hard on the bottom of the bowl. That's where the slab was stretched out the most, and it's going to be the thinnest part. The walls might be a little thicker because of the way the clay folded as you pushed it into the bowl. If you use a rib to press on the walls, that's going to help thin them out and compress the clay. If the walls start to get pushed up higher, up over the rim of the former bowl, you can go ahead and do another cut with your needle tool. With all of these hand building techniques for bowls, you want to make sure that you go back and smooth the inside of the bowl, the outside of the bowl, the rim of the bowl, and then possibly put it back in the former to do another final smoothing before you are finished with the bowl and let it get bone dry.